Jen, I can't believe it. It's a year and we're already back here to do this again.
I can't believe it's been a year. It definitely does not feel like a year.
For people who are not familiar with you, Jen, can you tell us who you are and what it is that you do?
Sure. I am Jen Lehner, and I am an AI strategist and consultant. I have a online membership where we come together and we share all of the cool AI efficiencies that we're bringing into our business and into our lives. I'm also an AI consultant, and I have on the side, I have an agency, a staffing agency, where we match you with your perfect match virtual assistant, human virtual assistant. And yeah.
So many things that you. So I am a product manager in my normal 9 to 5 life. I work on apps and websites, adding features, working with development teams, and I host a podcast called The Instagram Stories, where I talk about all the new features that have been added to Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads, and the Edits app. I find clips from people who work at the platforms and insert them in the show and then give my take on top. So I try to keep everyone who listens up to date on social media news, very similar to what you do, Jen, with your daily show.
Awesome.
So today we are going to be reviewing the predictions that we made for 2025, seeing if they came to fruition or not, looking at events and notable things in the social media and tech world over the past 12 months, and making some predictions for 2026. Let's start with looking at what we predicted for 2025 and seeing if any of them came to pass. Jen, do you want to start?
Sure. I think I had predicted that there would be a lot more AI content. That was kind of a no duh. I mean, I'm looking back on this and going, wow, well, that was just so imaginative. I predicted more wearables, and I also predicted more agents, like a lot more agentic AI. And I guess all three of those did come true.
I think about
How about you?
I think about Sora, which we're going to get into, and I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot of AI related topics as we go through this. But even though you say I picked an obvious one of more AI, I didn't anticipate anything like Sora in 2025. So I'm going to say that one came to pass much more than I even expected.
So true.
For myself.
What were your predictions?
So I picked that we would have more conversations about burnout. I don't think that actually came to pass the way I thought, but I did do a Google search for the term social media burnout, and it didn't seem to exist or be searched for at all until 2025. So there was some indication that that's a thing people care more about. I predicted that YouTube Shorts would completely replace TikTok, which I was 100% wrong on. And I predicted smart speakers with LLMs, which is available. That is something that Amazon has had, but it has not moved the needle in any meaningful way that I've seen so far. But I have seen LLMs improve greatly over the past 12 months. So that one, not as much either, but I was wrong about some things and less wrong on other things. I'll say it like that.
And you know, it really is fun to do these predictions because, like you said, I mean, with Sora, who saw that coming? And with regard to the LLMs and the smart speakers, you know, you weren't exactly wrong because they're putting, I mean, if we're going to call like our TV sets and our automobiles smart speakers attached to the LLMs, because, you know, all of that just hit the scene. So we got to keep our eye on that.
You're 100% right. Let's dive into more of some of the things that we've seen over the past 12 months. And let's start by talking about our favorite social media news stories of 2025. If you don't mind, I'd like to go first. And I thought about the couple at the Coldplay concert who were having the affair. If you didn't see, I mean, it got 100 million views. It was the CEO of the company Astronomer and the company's chief people officer. Both of them were reportedly married at the time. They came on the kiss cam when the camera was going around, and they immediately tried to run out of the frame. And it was just so painfully obvious. One of the reasons I picked this, though, is it really taught me that we have no expectation of privacy when we go to a public place. We shouldn't expect to have privacy, and therefore we should know that going into anything, any event, any place. If you're going to do something stupid, it very well may catch up with you because of it.
So true. So true. I picked okay, I'm going to cheat and I'm just going to touch on 3 briefly. Okay. One was Lamont Landers. It wasn't so much like a huge social media story as much as he is just a phenomenon in and of himself. So you just have to Google him. Go look him up on Instagram if you haven't seen him. I think he made an appearance on, something big, not the Super Bowl.
I want to say America's Got Talent.
Maybe America's Got Talent, but also something else. Anyway, he's this really like nerdy looking redheaded guy. And the minute that he opens up his mouth to sing, you can't believe. In fact, on his subtitles on all of his TikToks and his YouTube, he has an overlay that says, "This is my voice. This is not, this has not been edited with someone else's voice," because they do not match. But it's to me, I think it's like the voice of a generation. He has the most incredible voice, like what's his name? Just some of the old soul, singers from, Otis Redding. It's just crazy. Okay. Walmart guy. This is kind of a recent story where there was a greeter at Walmart and it turns out that he's a former veteran. His wife died not too long ago, and he's basically having to work 7 days a week to keep the lights on. And he was just such a sweet man. And long story short, the internet came together and raised like over $1 million for him to pay for his retirement, to get a house for him. You just have to watch it. It's a really feel good story. And then the last one, not such a feel good story, was Katy Perry's space trip. It was just so incredibly cringy, and the way that the world and the internet and social media reacted to that whole space trip, but particularly Katy Perry's very cringy way that she handled all of it was quite fascinating.
I love that. And I like the things that you picked because some I'm a little bit familiar with, some I'm more familiar with. So I like the wide variety of choices that you had in this category.
Well, thank you, sir.
Let's move on to the best TikTok trend of 2025. Jen, would you like to go first, please?
Sure. For me, that was a no-brainer. I loved and still love the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime TikTok trend. And I mean, I don't even want to tell you the hours that I wasted, because once the algorithm figured out that I liked this trend, I saw every single possible version of the dance related to that song. And it just, it was an earworm that I just loved. How about you?
I love that. So I picked about the singer Role Model. He's really, I would say, a one-hit wonder. He has some other good songs, but that's definitely the biggest one. And the main song is called Sally. That's really popular. And whenever he did a concert and performed this song, he would have a random famous person, usually female, come out on stage and join him. And he brought out people like Natalie Portman, Kate Hudson, Hilary Duff. And every week it seemed like he was performing. So on Monday morning, TikTok would show me, here's where a Role Model was performing over the weekend, and here's the famous person that he brought out. And for some reason, I was so invested in this, seeing which person who was so available or liked the song so much that they would move around their busy schedule to be on tour with him just for the day. So I was a big fan of that.
Okay, I never heard of that one. So what do we search for? At Role Model?
Yeah, his name is Tucker, I believe, but the band name is Role Model.
Okay.
It's a catchy song for sure. You, probably once you hear it, you'll be like, oh, I've heard this a million times. I just never connected it.
All right, I got to check that out.
So let's talk about the biggest social media fail of 2025. What would you say, Jen?
Sora allowing people to make AI videos using dead people. It's the most bizarre thing. And maybe they've even gotten rid of it in the last couple of weeks, because I haven't been on in the last couple of weeks. But when you go and you try to create a video on Sora, on the app Sora, I can't go in and say, create a video of Michael Jordan saying LeBron, LeBron, thank you. I was about to say LeVar Burton. That LeBron James is the greatest basketballer of all time. I can't do that. It'll say that's against our terms and conditions. But I can go in and say, have Elvis sing me a birthday song, have, any dead person, Ben Franklin, Mark Twain, Martin Luther King. A lot of people were doing videos with Martin Luther King. And the thing is, when it's done tastefully, it's fun, it's nice, it seems harmless. But by allowing people to make these videos with these people that have passed, it's very concerning to me because, a lot of these are just way beneath the dignity of the person and kind of humiliating. And you can only think, like, what would this person think or their loved ones think if this is their legacy all of a sudden, right? Like they're out, doing these silly and sometimes really super obnoxious things and looking so realistic that a lot of people really don't know. Even though Sora has that watermark, a lot of people don't know because a lot of people are covering up the watermark. So, I think that's a big fail, and hopefully they fix that.
I'm glad you brought that up because personally, the first time I saw people who I know have never interacted with each other and passed away years ago, and I saw them interacting, I saw Mr. Rogers and Tupac having a conversation. My brain was like, what is happening? Like, okay. But also thinking about it from the family of the people who the person who passed away, to not agree to any of that and then have their likeness used for all kinds of things that you have not agreed to is very wrong. And I'm glad you brought that up because that is something that needs to have controls in place. And I think they did either say, okay, we're putting limits on it or some kind of controls, but you're absolutely right. That is a major hole that needs to be closed because that is not fair to do to families who have lost that person.
Yeah, and I want to add to that because unfortunately, and it will continue to be the case until there's some major punishment, there are so many ways to get around this and loopholes. So like, if you stick to the big channels, the real name brand channels, then, you're going to run into these barriers. But if you're really, bent on doing this, then you could go over to the real naughty boy on the block, to X and use Grok. And Grok will really do anything you want, which is, that's my number 2 fail, is I would just say the biggest social media fail of all time is Grok and X as a whole, right? But what he is allowing, the owner of X, is allowing with Grok is just unbelievable. I mean, I'm talking adult content, just really no guardrails at all. And then I have to say with regard to, because some of my people, anybody listening who saw this is going to check me on it, but I did do a couple of videos. I did one with Mr. Rogers, myself, and the other one I can't remember. But again, I did mine in good taste. Mr. Rogers would, if assuming he approved of AI, he would not have been offended by our little conversation that we had, But again, it's a very fine line.
I agree. I picked as my social media fail TikTok being canceled, then being turned back on a day later, having to try to re-download the app when it was no longer available in the Play Store, hearing multiple times that an agreement has been reached or an agreement is close to being reached. None of that has come to pass. The deadline for it just keeps getting extended, and it's been really confusing. And I think I want to speak for myself here, have reached the point where I'm going to keep using it until it's no longer available. And that's fine. I just can't keep up with the day-to-day, week-to-week of, is it going to be here in a week or a month or a year? I can't keep up anymore. So that's my social media fail for 2025.
Yeah, I could not agree more with that.
Let's talk about Instagram very quickly. You and I both follow all the new features that Instagram adds, and they add them so quickly. What was your favorite new feature on Instagram in 2025?
I have to say, Daniel, I haven't been keeping up with them as much as you have. You're the king of that. Hello, the name of your flash briefing is the Instagram story. Stories or story?
Stories.
Stories, sorry.
No.
But I would say the one that I have noticed that I've really liked is the new link a reel and clickable links in reels. It's just very convenient.
Yes.
And I like that reels can be 20 minutes now.
Yes. It's nice to have that level of flexibility, right? If you're going to tell a really long story, that you have the ability to make it up as long as you need to tell that story.
Let me say right here, I don't think anybody needs to be making 20-minute reels or videos for that matter, even on YouTube. That's a pretty long video. But I do like that there might be a case one day that that I might need it, and I like that it's an option. How about you?
So I picked the fact that Instagram is letting you customize your algorithm and be able to write in certain keywords of things you want to see, or if you're seeing too much of a thing, that you could put that keyword in and say, don't show me any more content around this topic, whatever it is. Say you're tired of seeing political things or whatever you choose. And so I like that they're giving you that level of flexibility. We know that algorithms know more about us than than we know about ourselves, and it's reaching that point, right? Or it's at that point. So to be able to determine what content you see and being able to be very granular about it, I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's move on to favorite new platform. What was your favorite new platform in 2025?
All right. Well, what are we? I have three things listed, and I don't know if they really count as platforms. Like, I don't know if we would call it an app or a tool or a platform. I would say agentic browsers in general. I am so curious about, and I'm playing around with them all the time. Whether we're talking about OpenAI's Comet or Perplexity's Atlas. Did I get them confused? No, that's right. Perplexity's Atlas. Now Gemini is jumping into the mix. And basically they do stuff for you, right? And for me, when I found out that I could open up a spreadsheet and then press a button with my agentic browser and say, make this spreadsheet do this, because I'm not good with spreadsheets. I love them. And my team makes great spreadsheets that I use, but I'm actually not good at making spreadsheets. And then I watched as this little ghost in my computer did all the work and made and did everything I wanted. It fills out forms for me. I just have to, say these agentic browsers are, they are not secure, and you have to use them at your own risk. So I'm very careful about what browsers I have open when I use them, but I think these are, I don't know, they're huge. And then if that's not a platform, then I would say Lovable. Is that a platform or an app? I don't know.
I've been using Lovable, and I have been really enjoying it. So if you could talk about that for people who don't know.
Lovable it's just amazing. I mean, simply put, it's when you hear vibe coding, that's what Lovable allows you to do. To basically say, I would like to build an app that tracks my protein for the week. And then you just type in, I want it to be green, and I want it to look like the DoorDash app, and I want it to have, sparkly buttons. And as you type this conversation into the left-hand side of the screen, on the right-hand side, you start to see your app be built. And these are real, true apps. You could do it with, and you can also create like interactive dashboards, websites, landing pages, and it does an absolutely beautiful job. So they have a really nice free trial period. So, anybody could check it out and sort of get a feel for how great it is before you make a decision on purchasing.
Can I talk about Lovable for 1 second? So I actually have had an idea for an app kicking around in the back of my head for a few months now, and I started to build it with Lovable, and it built it so quickly. It made a web version for me so I could test it out before I, deployed it to app stores or anything like that. And I need to get back in and test it a little bit more. My idea was a camera app that helps me take better pictures of my wife, because she's great at taking pictures of me, but the reverse is terrible. But the app that Lovable built for me gives me hints like lighting is bad, move to a place with better light, your lens is dirty. It walks me through steps. I just gave it the idea and it built the app. So if you have not had a chance to mess around with Lovable, it is absolutely fantastic.
I love that use case. And this message is for Lauren. Lauren, you've really, you raised him well. Trained him well. I don't know about raised him well. But that is so thoughtful. And I love that idea. So cool. And then I would say, on that note, though, anybody who tries it out, and I think this kind of goes for all tools like this right now in the time that we're in, if you subscribe to one of these services or apps or platforms, I recommend doing just the monthly option, even if you have to pay a few more dollars, because things are changing so fast that really just recently Google AI Studio allows us, and this is basically free, in Google AI Studio, there's a little section called Build, and it allows you to do exactly the same thing as you do in Lovable. And that's more or less free. I mean, you need to have Google Workspace, which is really a nominal fee, and then so it's pennies on the dollar for this. So, and then the last thing is there's a new platform new to me, called Whatnot. Are you familiar with that, Daniel?
I'm not.
So it is basically like QVC, or like a combination between QVC, the Home Shopping Network, Amazon Live, eBay, and Poshmark. So in other words, but people are all live. It's 100% live. And you just scroll through, like when you're scrolling through, TikTok shopping, and you see all these people live selling stuff. But Whatnot is a little bit different. It's like super fast auctions. Like sometimes, it might take, you might only have 5 seconds to bid on whatever item that they're showing you, and then it just moves at a very fast pace. It's really exciting. And you can get some really good stuff, but that's not what I love about it. We're going to talk about it again later when we move through, and I'll come back to this. But right now, we'll just put a pin in that Whatnot.
Okay. I picked for my favorite new platform one that it might have been around longer, but new to me. It's called Music League, and basically, it's a music app that links to your Spotify, and it's a game that you can play with friends or you can play with strangers, and you pick categories of songs. So, for instance, I'll pick the category favorite workout song, and everyone will submit their songs of what they choose as their favorite workout song. It makes a playlist, and then we vote on which song is the best. You get 10 votes or whatever number, and you can disseminate the votes accordingly, and then it makes a leaderboard of who is recommending the best songs. You get a ton of great playlists out of it. It's free to use. Music League, it's been really fun. I think if you're into music and you have friends who are into music, definitely check it out.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard of that, so I'll definitely be checking that out. Thank you.
Let's talk about marketing campaigns that we've seen over the past 12 months. Jen, what was your favorite innovative marketing campaign?
I feel like there's been so many, but there are two that I thought were really cool. I'm sorry, I keep cheating. I mean, you're like, pick one, and then I'm like, I have three. It's not fair. You're sticking with the one, but I couldn't pick, okay? So Duolingo killed their mascot. So this was back in February, and they orchestrated this theatrical death of their mascot, his name is Duo. And the staged narrative began with mysterious announcements, and then it evolved into this collective mourning, and then it culminated in a community-driven, resurrection, and it was crazy. And if you Google it, you could see if you happen to miss it, you can Google it and check out some of the videos around this. But it was just genius. And I think, aside from the fact that this was really smart, and because then that sort of segued into them selling all these plushies and all this merch, and it was just very, very effective campaign. It made other brands like Wendy's bring out their mascots and sort of play them up more than they had in the past. And I think what all this points to is that we want to root for someone. And even if that's just, we all want to come together and get behind something together, right? Like as a team. And I think, and we're starting to see more of that. Like that feels good. Like let's all come together and support, even if it's just this dumb little mascot. So I thought that was kind of fascinating. And then the second one, which I really...
Can we stick on the owl for 1 second? And I'm so glad you picked this one, because if I remember right, to resurrect the owl, everyone had to use the Duolingo app together to do it 1.5 million times, whatever the number was.
Yes,
and so to your point, this is a sense of community, but what a great way to get people to open up the app if they haven't used Duolingo. Maybe they were using it for, a few months in preparation for a trip, and then they stopped using it or whatever. What a great way to get people back involved in the app. So now they care. Now they, just like you said, they have that sense of community. I think that is absolutely a brilliant marketing strategy to get people to care about your product and your brand again.
Yeah, it was so good. And then the other one was RX Bar's BS filter. Do you know about this?
I don't. I'm familiar with the RX bars. I don't love them, but I know what they are.
So RX bars, their big thing is there's like 4 ingredients. It's like, and it says it on the wrapper. It's like two egg whites,
Dates?
1 date or 2 dates, and 4 figs or something. I don't know,
Something like that,
right?
yeah,
Like that,
yeah.
but that's their thing. And so this just was such a smart idea. So they created this Chrome browser extension that removes corporate jargon from social media. And yeah, so it's a BS filter. And so of course this was like perfectly aligned with their no nonsense brand. And who would have, like it just shows you could bring anything into your marketing campaign. A Chrome browser plugin. Love
Right.
it.
That's so creative. I picked the Jet 2 Holiday, which if you don't know what that is, you've probably heard the clip, "Nothing beats a Jet 2 Holiday." And people made remixes off it. And it turns out it's from a commercial where they're advertising the ability to travel and get a discount of £50 per person. And the company's been using the same audio clip for 10 years. So people in the UK where they hear this ad are so overhearing it. They're so sick of it. So the fact that this became so popular and people were making their vacation videos and ridiculous things they saw on their trips with this sound was really funny. But I thought this is really playing the long game when it comes to marketing, because this company's been using the same audio for 10 years. I never heard of this company, but this summer, now I know who they are because I saw so many travel videos to this clip. So it says to me, sometimes if you stick with one marketing thing long enough and you annoy people with it, eventually it will blow up. I don't think that's the lesson I'm supposed to learn, but that's what I took away from the Jet 2 Holiday.
Love it.
Let's move on to your current favorite social media account. Jen, who have you been following in 2025 and really enjoying?
Okay, I only have one answer for this because, and it's not useful in any way. It's just 100% pure entertainment, and that is Andy Marie Tillman, and specifically her character Patsy, the courthouse clerk. And if you know, you know. And she's probably not everybody's cup of tea. She's got this. She's very Southern. She's from Appalachia. But she's incredibly talented, and she has all these different characters that she does. But this character, Patsy, I mean, sometimes I will, I don't just wait for her to show up in my algorithm. I go and search to see if she has any new content. And I think that kind of, that's when you know that like your content is good, is when people are, they're not waiting for the For You page. They're going to go and find you. And there was one for business, and it's at Digital Samaritan. And this is a guy who recently has come across, has gotten my attention. And he just does really quick reels of showing you interesting use cases for various AI stuff. And so great little nuggets that he shares.
I love that.
How about you?
So I picked Amy Poehler. I've been following Amy Poehler for a while, but this year she launched her podcast. And she's had a ton of great interviews. She's had Tina Fey on, Idris Elba, Natasha Lyonne. And one of my favorites was the Jonas Brothers, because although I'm not a huge fan of the Jonas Brothers, halfway through the interview, Nick Jonas realizes that Amy Poehler is from the movie Inside Out and that she is Joy. And if you haven't seen the clip, go watch it. Nick Jonas just halfway through the conversation, they're just talking about things and he goes, "You're Joy." And she goes, yes, I am. And continues with the conversation. But he has that real aha moment and you see it on camera. And it's so funny because if you have watched animated movies, sometimes you think about who the voices are. Sometimes you don't, or it just hits you out of the blue. And you got to see that in real time when it hit him. So I've been really enjoying Amy Poehler's content, and her guests. Her podcast overall is definitely a recommend.
Awesome. I'm going to definitely check that out.
Let's move on to favorite hardware tech. And this is where it gets interesting. Jen, what have you been either using or wanting to purchase or tracking over the past 12 months with respect to hardware?
Honestly, when the hardware comes out, I buy it. I mean, I've got the Meta glasses. I don't have the newest ones. You got the Snapchat glasses like 100 years ago, didn't you?
Yes, and I think it turned me off from glasses. I want to talk about this, but continue, and then I'll talk about the Meta glasses.
Okay. So I do quite like my Meta glasses, the first version, not the ones that they have right now with the display. But Meta's AI is really crap. I mean, it really is. And so when I'm so for that feature, I don't love them, but I do like them for everything else. When I saw these digital note takers come out, and really I'm calling it a digital note taker, or AI note taker, but they're wearables that basically record you and everybody around you and everything that you do all day long. And the first one that I bought, it goes around your neck. I can't believe I forgot the names of them. I meant to grab those before we went live, but we could put them in the show notes. The first one, you wear around your neck, or you can wear it on your wrist, and it connects to an app. And like I said, it just captures everything that you say with everybody. And then, but it's supposed to be visible, right? Like the idea is that you don't hide it and you let people know that they're being recorded. And then the other one is more of a little clip, and it's a little more sleek than the first one. And the AI that it is connected to inside of its app is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And so what it does is, like, so you wear it all day long. It has a much longer battery life than the other one. In fact, I think it lasts like 4 days, and you could just have it on for all 4 days. And what happens is it goes ahead and it figures out, like, it does these summaries for you, sort of like where you communicated well, where you could have been a little more empathetic, where you weren't really listening to someone very well. It keeps track of every little to-do that you just sort of uttered, like, oh, I need to go by the dry cleaning, go get my dry cleaning. It captures all of it, and it creates this incredible summary and log at the end of the day for you. But it really started to make, I felt guilty wearing it, because you really are supposed to tell every person that you come in contact with that you're wearing it, and it's just not feasible. I'm going to pick up my prescription at the pharmacy. Ethically, I should tell the pharmacist you're being recorded, but I just, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. So then I felt guilty, so then I stopped wearing them. But that's what I have to say about hardware at the moment.
I understand what you mean about the concern, right? Like if you walk in to buy a cup of coffee, you're in there for 1 minute or 2 minutes, just explaining what is even going on feels like a really awkward conversation.
Right.
I totally get that. I wasn't expecting that you were going to say Meta's AI is so bad. I haven't spent a lot of time with it. I did pick the Meta Ray-Ban displays as my favorite hardware tech. I think the price is really reasonable. I love the fact that there's a display that you can see. There's so many moments where I take out my phone and I realize, like, that person was saying something important to me and I just pulled out my phone. Why am I interrupting what's happening just because I got a text message? Like, that shouldn't be. So to have that screen and just kind of see it and know it's not important, I love that concept. But me personally, I'm really struggling with giving Meta any more information about my life in exchange for their AI. I feel like I've reached my limit of that. So even though I love this tech, I'm very hesitant on getting fully immersed in it and fully involved, even though I think the price point is great and I love the concept of it. So
yeah, totally. And and I needed to also shout out my Aura Ring. That's another one that just gets better all the time. It's like they just added a feature through the app where you could get blood work locally, and it connects to the app, and then it sees everything basically, which I know is not for everybody. That scares a lot of people. I've really just, surrendered. Oh, and then back to the Meta AI, I just have to say one more thing and give you an example of why I say that it's junk. It used to be with those glasses, I could look at a building, and this was a real scenario that happened to me once. I went for a walk. It was in Miami, or Coral Gables, Coconut Grove to be exact. And I was walking around and I forgot where my hotel was. Now, I could have easily pulled out my phone and found my way back to the hotel. But what I did was, with my glasses, I looked at the skyline and I said, which one of those hotels is this hotel? And it said, it is the fourth one on the right, the tall blue one with the, blue glass or whatever. So it was smart in that way. It was able to look at the surroundings and sort of figure out where it was based on what I was looking at. Recently, I was traveling somewhere and I did the same thing. Hey, Meta, tell me about this building. And it said, you are looking at an old building. It has old windows and an old door.
Not very helpful.
And I did give it several chances, and I don't know what happened, but it just did not. Before you could say, tell me about this building. It would say, you're looking at the Alamo, And then it would tell you a little bit about the Alamo. So I know it's going to get better, but I do think of all the LLMs, and that's just one small example. I think Meta is just a far distant from all the others. I don't love it.
I definitely see your point. That's a good example of kind of comparing when it first came out to a little more recently and the difference. You know. All right, let's move on to our predictions for 2026. Let's start with social media. What are your predictions for 2026 when it comes to social media?
Okay, so this goes back to the Whatnot app that I was talking about earlier, and it's basically a space where people are selling live, and it's like QVC or Home Shopping Network, and I think all of that is going to explode because these people. So when you go onto Whatnot, one of the things that you'll see these young people. There's a lot of like, when I say young people, like 18, 19, 20-year-old, I'm going to say kids who are in a warehouse, and there's like hundreds, if not thousands of shoe boxes, like in the warehouse behind them. And they're all the best new sneakers. There's On Clouds, and there's, all the brands. And they get on there and they're selling, and they're so good, these kids. Like, they've really figured out how to sell really well. And my point is, these kids are making millions of dollars doing the most basic, pure kind of commerce. The only difference is, so 200 years ago, that would have been like, someone selling what on the street, right? Like a peddler selling something on the street, 1-to-1. Here's my cash, here's your item, have a good day. Now these kids have access to the whole entire world through a portal we call the internet, and they're making millions of dollars selling stuff through these apps. So I'm completely fascinated by it, and I'm very, very intrigued. And I do think it's going to get even bigger.
What I like about that is there's a element of scarcity, right? Once they sell the product and someone buys it, it's gone. It's not like they have hundreds or thousands of the same exact item, right? I think they're all, multiple varieties of shoes, for instance. So if you jump on it in that second and you get it, it's yours. If you get outbid or whatever, it's not. So that ability to sell quickly in the moment and give people that fear of missing out, if they don't get that product right then and there, it's gone. I think that is going to be something that people are more interested in, spend more time so they can get that one-of-a-kind gift or that item they've always wanted, and it's only available that one time.
Yeah, and on that particular app, they've done it so well. I've really been studying it. So like as the buyer, you're pretty well protected, and they're required to send it out like really quickly. I think they have to send it to you within 3 days. It's really cool. What about you? What are you thinking?
So I have two predictions, and the first, in discussing this interview that you and I are going to do with my wife, and we were talking about what ideas we had for 2026, she gave me one, which is that she thinks people will go analog and focus more on their social privacy, trying to plan analog events with close friends and family, less about showing a glamorized lifestyle and more about just genuine experiences and genuine conversations. The ugliness, the rawness, the grittiness of it. She thinks that's going to be a trend for 2026. And honestly, I agree. I've seen events where people plan no phone parties, and you have to leave your phone at home or in the car or whatever. And I see that as something that will grow. I picked that there will be more social media on televisions. Obviously, YouTube has been on the TV as an app for a while. The usage of that is higher than Netflix and Hulu and all the other ones put together. TikTok has a TV app, and Instagram just announced that they are doing a test for their TV app as well on Amazon devices first. And so I think that's going to be a more community driven, like you watch TikTok videos or Instagram videos on your television with your family as opposed to an isolating event. And so I think that's going to be something that we see more of in 2026.
I agree on both fronts. I agree with Lauren. I agree with you. Yep. Good take.
So let's go on to predictions for AI. What are your thoughts for AI in 2026? Which is a huge question. Why would I ask such a big question?
Because honestly, like I am still at the point right now where I am just amazed at what we're able to do. I never could have predicted some of the stuff that came out this year. So I am super excited to think about what is around the corner. One thing I think is just kind of indisputable. I mean, because we're already seeing it happen, but it's going to be all about the agents again this year, but more so. And instead of just giving you a recipe, your AI agent is going to log into your grocery app. It's going to, which it can already do this. It can already go into your Instacart, order the ingredients based on what's on sale, and then coordinated the delivery time with your smart lock, right? Which again, you can already do. Like Amazon puts stuff directly into my garage because there's that smart thing that opens up the garage door.
Oh.
But I just think it's going to be more and more about the agents doing stuff for us.
Which is the goal, right? To give you time to focus on other things as opposed to doing all these manual tasks. That makes sense.
Yeah. And home robots. I just added that one.
Yes, I definitely see that.
There's already one that's like a real legit robot, and it's $20,000.
Is it from Amazon or is it from a different company?
It's from another company, but it's really well designed. It looks like it could have been. It's not, but it looks like it could be an Apple product. But he can't, completely autonomously like load and unload the dishwasher, and I'm not paying $20,000 unless he can at least do that.
Yes, that is one job I do not love. I picked that OpenAI is going to announce hardware. They've been talking about the fact that they are working on some kind of hardware thing. They haven't said what. They hired Johnny Ive. He helped create the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, and they have said that they're working on a product that, and this is a direct quote, uses AI to create a computing experience that is less socially disruptive than the iPhone. That's the direct quote, which I think is a tall order. That's going to be really tough to execute. The iPhone has been, the way we use smartphones has just changed fundamentally human nature over the past 10, 15 years. So I don't think this is really going to move the needle. I hope it does, but I don't think it will. And then my other prediction is more around glasses hardware. People will not necessarily want to give Meta more information with glasses, but they would potentially do it with Google, especially because Gemini 3 has been so much better than what else is in the landscape. I put this down as a prediction, and then you sent me a message. You said, Daniel, they already announced this last week. Where were you? And I missed it. That's on me. But I do think that is going to be something that people are very interested in 2026, is getting a competitive offering for glasses to be able to have options.
Yeah. Yep. And I did read about the OpenAI leaning into creating hardware and potentially something that could replace our phones or be adjacent to our phones, right? And I am very interested in what that's going to be. I would love it if they did something so disruptive that Apple was just not that. I mean, I like Apple. I don't want anything bad to happen to Apple, but just like that their chin would fall open, like their mouth would fall open and be like, what? Kind of, you wonder, like, look what happened to Kodak,
How good would it have to be, though, for you to leave your phone at home to say, okay, I have this new hardware device. I can walk out of the house. Like, do you see it replacing the phone?
Yeah, I do. Because if I could, I really think glasses are going to be, I think it's going to be glasses of some sort. And I mean, why, if we have that visual display that they're giving us with Meta and soon with Google, or already with Google, whatever, where we have that display in our glasses, right? The heads up display, you could see text, you could see whatever. Now, if that's a hologram that travels with me, that's much bigger and in front of me, and think about how you interact with the new Meta glasses. You tap your fingers together to manipulate your way around. You do gestures with your fingers, even though they're not touching your glasses, and stuff happens. I feel like that's going to get so refined and so much more robust. So yeah, if I can walk around with only my glasses on, maybe a hologram in front of me, or the visual in front of me, even if it's a TikTok video, even if it's a dance video, or directions with my Google map, and I can tap my two fingers together and call my son, and have a conversation and be looking at, I can do it all. So my answer to you, Daniel, is yes, easily.
Yes, and I agree. I didn't think so at the beginning of this conversation, but the more you explained that, I think you're right. And I think that would be the right form factor potentially. If they're coming up with something else, okay, I'm open to it. But I agree with you. That is the right form factor in 2026.
Okay, well, good. I like it when I convince people.
The last category, and I added this one new for this year. Do you have any predictions for podcasting in 2026?
I just think that clones are going to enter the podcast space. I mean, they already have, but I think they're going to be good. I think we will listen, and I'm sorry. Like, I know this might hurt people's feelings because we don't want it to go in that direction, right? Like, we don't want humans to be replaced, but I do think that there will be content that is 100% sourced and curated by AI, like agents, and then published and recorded with the voices of, we don't have to call them clones, just, AI, simulated voices.
AI personas.
Yeah, synthetic voices, personas, and I think they'll be enjoyable, and I think that they'll be good. And again, I'm not going to make that qualitative. I'm just going to say that's what I think is going to happen.
I think you're right. I definitely see that as a trend that people would get content from, especially if it's someone that they build trust with over time, and then they're more comfortable with that AI persona giving them news and other information. I picked two things. First, that there's going to be a divide, even more so for podcasters, people who are famous and have famous friends and famous guests and everyone else. And then also, I think in-studio podcasts are going to be even bigger. It's great to be able to record, like this on Riverside or Zencastr or Zoom or whatever you use. But for the YouTube content, I see in-studio interviews performing really well. And I see Netflix making major investments in-studio podcasts. So I think that's an area that's going to grow as well.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Cool.
This has been great recapping, talking about our predictions from 2025, what we expect for 2026. Jen, for people who don't already follow you, where can they find you online?
Probably the best place to find me is on Instagram. It's JEN_LEHNER. Or you could go to frontrowaiclub.com.
Awesome.
How about you, Daniel?
You can find me on Instagram at Daniel Hill Media. You can also find me on Threads, YouTube. I try to be as many places as possible without burning out. And you can find my podcast, the Instagram Stories, social media news, wherever you get podcasts.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. See you next year.
Thanks, Jen.